If you're a Romantasy reader, chances are you've heard of one of these books. These are the most popular books in the Romantasy space right now. These are the reason that people are obsessed with fantasy now, and you've probably seen them all over the internet, all over bookstores, all over Book Talk, and everybody will not stop talking about them. These are generally Romantasy readers' required reading list. Today I'm here to give you your updated list of Romantasy required reading. If ACOTAR was the book that got you into Romantasy, that's great. But I'm here to give you some slightly less popular, slightly less heard of books that need to be just as popular, just as hyped, just as important as ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Quicksilver, or Throne of Glass. Get out your TBR. These are all of the spicy Romantasy books that need to be on any Romantasy reader's TBR. If you like fantasy, if you like Romantasy, you like dragons, you like fae, you like shifters, all of that stuff, these are the staples. These are the ones that are pretty guaranteed to give you a good time. So let's go ahead and wreck your TBR. I want to start with a couple of new classics, books that everybody is sort of in agreement on, books that are not necessarily going to make you mad, but trust me, there are going to be some books on this list that you are going to get mad and you're going to say, that's an overhyped book. But this is my personal list of Romantasy required reading. So if you like books that I like, you're probably going to like every single book on this list. But if you don't, you know, why are you here? I don't know. And yes, I am going to go ahead and tell you that a lot of these books on this list I think are better than Fourth Wing. Some of them are better than ACOTAR. It is kind of hard to beat Throne of Glass, but some of them have the potential to be on the same tier once they're completed series. These are absolutely book recs that you need to take seriously, book recs that I am serious about, book recs that I will stand 10 toes down, say in there 5-star reads, and if you don't disagree with me, that doesn't mean anything except for the fact that my book taste is not for you. But let's start with sort of a universally agreed upon god tier new Romantasy series. I feel like this is one that not a lot of people would argue about, so let's start on good terms. Let's remain friends for the moment before I offend someone. We are going to talk about The Ascended by Parker and Bree. This I feel like has the potential to be the new Massiverse. This has crossovers. This has 2 different series right now that are in the same universe that are sort of, you know, kind of crossing over with each other. We've got deep character development. We've got a really interesting magic system, really good plot, emotional damage, every single thing that I like when it comes to a Romantasy series. And if you like something like ACOTAR, you loved the crossover in Crescent City, that's just like your vibe. The Ascended and these worlds, what are they called? I don't know what they're called, but you know when a fantasy series has a universe name, kind of like the Massiverse or the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I don't know what this one is called, but we have got The Ascended, which is one of a duology, so this is going to be 2 books, it's going to be finished. It's not going to be a big, long, overarching series that you have to wait forever to get to the end of. Hello, ACOTAR 5 and 6. Hello, ACOTAR 6 and 7. And then we have another series that is sort of interconnected with this one that consists of Riftborn and Duskbound. So those 2 technically were written first and they kind of come first. I do think you should read them first. This is one of the ones that's like so sort of in-depth and so important and so sort of impactful that I do think it deserves a reading order. So I'm gonna tell you really quick, it's very simple. You are going to read Riftborn and Duskbound, and then you're going to read The Ascended. Yes, you can read The Ascended first. However, most people have a much better experience when they read The Ascended second. There is a big moment at the end of this book that is so much more impactful if you've read Riftborn and Duskbound first. And it's like, honestly, like for people who have read it, who have been a part of the Massiverse, it's like when you get to that moment at the end of House of Sky and Breath, and you're like, oh my God. That's what this is like. So if you missed that feeling, if you're missing a big fantasy universe, The Ascended has games and trials. It's got multiple characters that you're going to care about. It's not just like one main character, one love interest. Not to mention though, Zul is probably like one of the hottest book boyfriends and one of the best book boyfriends that I met last year in 2025. I haven't met anybody like him. So he's kind of not like other girls, you know, he's not like other book boyfriends. But this absolute god tier read, I read it thinking it was going to be okay. Like I'd heard some buzz about it, but then I finished it and I was like, oh shit, this is for real. This is Romantasy required reading. And so is Riftborn and Duskbound. So the only thing about Riftborn and Duskbound is, listen, number 1, this series was so popular, so well loved, if you don't believe me. It is getting picked up by a traditional publisher, and Riftborn is actually getting an edit and getting sort of a mini rewrite. So a lot of the criticisms that come with this series and Riftborn and Duskbound is that Riftborn is kind of slow, a little bit boring, takes a long time to get into. That is accurate. It's going to get a rewrite. So if you want to wait to read it until it comes out, it's actually going to come back out out in May of this year, so you don't have to wait very long. I am going to be interviewing the authors in Wilmington. If you want to come hang out, come see me in Wilmington on May 2nd and 3rd. We can hang out there, but they are doing a rewrite. It's in the process right now, and it's going to be available in May. So if you want to wait for a second before you read this, wait for Riftborn to come out in May. All 3 of these books are going to get republished, but Riftborn is actually sort of getting a mini rewrite. So I would maybe recommend waiting on that. But this is definitely like the #1 Romantasy book that I think needs to be sort of like in the 2026 Romantasy required reading. Like, not everything is going to be ACOTAR all the time. It's not always going to be Fourth Wing. It's not always going to be Throne of Glass. There are eventually going to be series that reach that tier of greatness for you, and I think that this one has the potential definitely to get there. Plus, it's so much shorter. It's not 8 books. Like, we're going to have a trilogy, and then we're going to have a duology, and that's going to be it. And I think it's kind of special that it manages to be so impactful in less books. So personally, this gets my vote of approval. If you're not reading The Ascended, if you haven't read The Ascended, there's something wrong. You need to check it out. And if you don't like it, that's fine, but I don't understand. I don't understand if you're reading this book and you don't like it. What do you like? Then what do you like? So another book that was so good that it got traditionally published, a lot of people liked this one, and I really haven't seen a lot of negative reviews on it, was Kissed by the Gods by Caty Rogan. This currently has 1 book out. There's also a novella out. The novella is very good. And if you like Legends of Thesmar, if you like the Empyrean series, if you like Ashes of Thesmar, if you like Throne of Glass, like this is a little bit like, it's romantasy, it's spicy romantasy, but it's a little bit deeper. It's got a very messy, real, relatable female main character. She is kind of a villain. She is morally gray. So if you like characters like Diana from the Gods and Monsters series, you liked Bryce before she became absolutely insufferable in House of Flame and Shadow, I think this is going to be a series for you, because this is a very imperfect main character, and I personally will always want an imperfect main character. I hate sort of like a very basic, I'm the good guy, I'm the person, I'm the hero. Like, that's fine, but I feel like that does sort of get boring to read about over and over again, and I do sort of gravitate towards the messy, the raw, the relatable characters, and that's what we're getting in here. Now, we do have a blonde man with a man bun. I have no idea where we're going with the romance. The really fun thing about Kissed by the Gods is that we have bonding with winged horses. So instead of like dragon riders, we have winged horse riders, and this also has a military academy. So it's going to give you things that if your reading journey started with Fourth Wing, that you'll probably like and be familiar with and like gravitate towards. But this is a completely different story, very different characters. I actually remember all of the side characters and their names and who they are and why they're important in this one. But I also really, really love the magic system. This one's got like dimension walking in it. So if you read or liked something like The Bone Season, this has sort of a similar power in it where our FMC can sort of travel through dimensions. It's almost like portal traveling, but like there is a dimension that exists in between like life, Earth, or wherever they are, and like an in-between, like a veil type of thing. So she kind of dimension walks, she dream walks, that's what they call it in Bone Season. I don't know what it's called in here. And the horse is able to do it with her. So this one is very, very interesting, very different feeling, and I felt a lot more of like an emotional connection. I felt like there was a lot of depth. I really liked the plot. And this one really surprised me. I picked this one up with like no expectations, and I was like, oh, there's a reason people are talking about this one. So Kissed by the Gods, I feel like definite required reading. And for right now, while we're still staying friends, this is another one that's pretty universally loved. I haven't seen a lot of negative things said about it. It's not very divided. This one's pretty much said to be a really good book, a masterpiece book, okay? For a romantasy book, okay? Let's get something out of the way right now. We're doing a romantasy required reading, okay? So these are 5-star God tier books when it comes to romantasy. Not when it comes to every book in the entire universe, okay? If I'm rating these 5 stars, if I'm saying that these are good, we're in the realm of spicy romantasy books, not Shakespeare. Let's just get that out of the way. Just so everybody knows how that works. This is a themed recommendation list. So let's move on to book number 3. Now let's talk about something super special that we have been getting, thankfully, more of in 2026, which is a good 5-star, well done romantasy standalone. That means it's just one book. Raise your hand if you want a master list of my favorite standalones, so I can give you that. This is one book. It's a story that starts and ends in one book. Now, just imagine like reading the entirety of ACOTAR and only having to read one book. Now, I personally love a big, long series that I can get immersed in. However, I do like a really well done, top tier, like well-written standalone. Now, The Poison Daughter, if you liked From Blood and Ash, if you liked Quicksilver, if you liked ACOTAR, this is going to give you some of those vibes. This has vampires, this has lots of banter in it. It's got a much more likable FMC than Poppy, in my opinion. This one doesn't ask a bunch of questions. She knows everything. She's not asking any questions to anybody. And she also has a very special power that is sort of alchemy related, sort of plant related. But she unalives people with her kiss. So she's basically sort of an assassin who is unaliving men who are not nice to their wives. So basically she hunts down men who have wronged women and she unalives them by kissing them. Like, how badass is that? Now, we have incredibly witty banter in here, and this is a standalone that does something really magical in my eyes, which is it still feels like a proper slow burn, even though I would rate this like 3.5 chilies. Like, this is pretty spicy. When it pops off, and it's got some like good quality spice in it, but we're not going to be having spicy time right out the gate. It's not insta-lust. These two actually, like, quite literally, our FMC is plotting ways to unalive the book boyfriend or the main male character in here for like the entirety of the book. So I don't want to give you any sort of spoiler, but basically she's got a journal where she's writing down different ways that might be successful in unaliving him. It's kind of hilarious. That's part of the like dark banter that they have going on. And there are plot twists in here. There is also emotional damage, which I feel like is really hard to pull off in standalone books. Fairy Lake is one of the only ones that I feel like her standalones feel very deep and thought-provoking and like emotional for how short they are. This plot twist took me out. That's all we're gonna say. Absolute required reading. If you haven't read this yet, you are missing out. This is also a universally loved book. I have not seen a single bad review on this. I have seen some people say that like it was a 4-star or like a 3.75, but like no one's coming out saying like The Poison Daughter was the worst thing I've ever read, which is usually what I get when I rate something 5-star. No, people love this one. People agree. Put this on your TBR. All right, now let's move on to our first sort of controversial one. Listen, people love it or hate it, which is super normal when it comes to reading books. If you hate a book I like, I'm happy to still be friends with you. That's completely fine. Now, this book, this is going to offend some people. The reason that people don't like this is because there's world building in it. Is because it's a little bit more fantasy focused. Yes, there's romance. Yes, there is spice, especially in book 2 from what I have heard. But this is a slow burn, and if you're a Throne of Glass girly, if that was the series that you either liked a long time ago or it was the one that got you obsessed with Romantasy, I think this is going to be a really good one because this is more heavy on the plot. It's more heavy on the build-up, more heavy on like the world building, and like the author is sort of weaving storylines and weaving events together so that when the end of this book pops off, all of the plot twists and all of the jaw-dropping moments are just so satisfying because they make so much sense with like what has been happening throughout the entire book. So this one I would say is not going to be the most like action-packed, fast-paced, in-your-face, like begging for your attention the whole time. This is a fantasy book. This has world building in it. Some people don't like the style of the world building. Completely fine criticism, whatever. But this is really good. This is one of those books that I feel like does the job of setting you up to be wrecked, to just like, it's like delivers at the end. You get to the end and you're like, oh my God, everything's falling into place at once. It's like an avalanche of plot twists, and there's like multiple plot twists in this book. It's not just one that was like, oh, that was a good one. It's like, oh my God, a plot twist. Oh my God, another plot twist. Oh my God, what is going, betrayal. There's so much going on in this book. Yeah, it's a little slow in the beginning, but you guys are out here reading and ranting and raving over ACOTAR, which was a very slow first book for the series, okay? Give this one the same amount of patience that you gave ACOTAR, okay? Like if you can get through A Court of Thorns and Roses, and then you got to the masterpiece that was A Court of Mist and Fury, this one, I will say, is a masterpiece by the end of the book. It is not boring. It is not super slow. It just has more dense, like, planned out world building. I feel like I can see how organized the author is and how she is not playing with us. She is going to emotionally wreck us, and you're not going to be able to guess anything that happens in here. Now, there is one plot twist that everybody says is super obvious. It's obvious for a reason. It's obvious so that when she hits you over the head with the 10 other ones at the end of this book, you're actually shook. She does a really good job. She like holds your hand. She makes you feel smart. She's like, oh, let me give you a plot twist that everybody can guess. And you're like, what do you mean it has plot twists? I guessed it from the very first page. Yeah. Did you guess the other 5? The other 7 that were in here? Did you guess what happened on the very last page? If you did, listen, I'm impressed. That's fine. But no one's talking about the obvious plot twist when they're talking about this book, okay? We're talking about the wreckage that was the last 10 pages of the book. I was shook. And Rights of the Starling comes out really soon. It's also really pretty. It's that kind of a blue vibe to it. I'll put it on screen. But it is supposed to be even better than this book. And this was an immaculate time. I think it's really good. And it is for those girlies, those book lovers who want a little bit more plot, who want a little bit more planning, who don't want the like romance to be the focus right from the very beginning. I feel like you should be reading a variety when you read Romantasy. So this one, heavier on the plot, better story. Better writing, in my opinion. Better mapping out, better pacing of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like this is a little bit deeper, okay? If you want insta love, I'll point you in the direction of that. Also, you could read a standalone. I just gave you one. But this, absolute masterpiece, required Romantasy reading. Let me know what you thought of it. Were you one of the people who loved it or hated it? Like, that's okay. We can still be friends, but I want to know. Did you guess all of the plot twists? Because I haven't met anybody yet who guessed every single one, okay? And don't lie just to prove a point. Tell me the truth. All right, let's keep it rolling with the controversial ones. If you are an Empyrean girly, if Fourth Wing was your introduction into Romantasy, I would bet money that you'd have a good time with Direbound. Direbound is very Fourth Wing coded. I personally don't agree with, and people wanted to argue to the ground with me in the last video where I put this book in. It's not a copy paste of Fourth Wing. If you think it is, I honestly don't want to hear it anymore at this point because it's a matter of opinion. This has direwolves in it, so if you like magical animal bonding, military academy, trials, those are not copy paste elements, those are Romantasy tropes, okay? Listen, if we're going by the logic of this being a copy paste of Fourth Wing, then Fourth Wing is a copy-paste of Divergent. Do you agree or disagree? Whatever. But this has a very sarcastic lady direwolf in it, so it's not just your typical sarcastic man dragon. Listen, I love Taryn. That's fine. Whatever. But I wanted something a little different. This also was a much more likable, in my opinion, female main character. I liked her. I liked her story. Also doesn't matter that she has silver hair, okay? Number 1, Violet had silver hair from the beginning. Our main character in here has something happen that turns her hair silver. You know how common silver hair is in Romantasy? Okay? Diem has silver hair. Is she copy-paste of Violet? You know, I don't know. Manon has silver hair. She came first. Is Violet a copy-paste of her? Listen, whatever. This is an absolute vibes read, okay? This was a really fun time. We're also putting this on the list because the second book is coming out in May, Furybound, and I was lucky enough to get an art copy of it, so I've already read it. It is so much better than Direbound, and Direbound is not a bad book, in my opinion. But listen, if you liked Direbound, you're going to eat up Furybound. And if you still think it's a copy-paste of Fourth Wing, Furybound really stands on its own and is much more different in the plot in like every aspect. So if that was your criticism, I would recommend trying Furybound because it's very different. And if you didn't like Direbound, but maybe you like you medium liked it, you kind of didn't like it, read Furybound because, again, it is better. It's another case of like, you know, ACOTAR was fine, people love it, but then they really loved A Court of Mist and Fury. Direbound was a really good time, great, but then Furybound is like doubly as good. So this one needs to be on the TBR. I honestly feel like it's required reading because you should at least try it. If you like Fourth Wing, this is going to like give you the familiar vibes to sort of get you into the story, get you interesting. There is a lot more going on with the romance in here. That I feel like is very different. Yes, we have a broody, like, man at the military college, but number 1, he has a man bun, which is more points for me. And number 2, he's not the only man in the story, okay? And I'm not talking about, like, Dane level, like, in what world was Dane ever an option for Violet? We've got more than one man in here, okay? And you're not really going to be able to guess where it goes. So, Direbound, I'm going to put this on required Romantasy reading. I think it's a great time. If you hated it, whatever. Now, let's talk about my favorite Romantasy subgenre, which is dark academia, and my new, favorite obsession. Guys, this is a book, this is a series that is so good. It's going to have you, talking about theories, which I feel like that's something that hasn't happened in a while, is reading a Romantasy series and coming up with theories like you do with ACOTAR, like you do with Throne of Glass. You're looking for those Easter eggs. You're actually listening and thinking about what's going to happen. This Half City inspired that kind of experience for me. When we had our book club meeting for it, this was my virtual book club's pick, and we also did it for a book club for one of my book retreats. I'll tell you about book retreats at the end of this video, but we were sitting around together and everybody was just talking about theories and guessing and wondering, and I feel like that's a really sort of special thing when a book inspires discussion like that. If you're just reading a basic Romantasy, a lot of times oh yeah, it was a 5-star, it was a good time, and it can be a 5-star good time. But this, I feel like people wanted to talk about what they thought was going to happen. There were multiple options for what can happen. There's multiple avenues. I feel like this is not super predictable. It's not one that you can guess everything. It's one that sort of requires you to think about what might happen. There's a couple plot twists. I'm really, really, really liking where we're going. And the author has confirmed that this is going to be a trilogy. So number 1, we get book 2. I think it's called Cursed City. We get it this year, I believe in the fall. So we're already getting book 2 and it's only going to be 3. I personally think a trilogy is the perfect amount for a Romantasy/fantasy book series. So this, I have really high hopes for the series. Half City already, I didn't want to put it down. Now, let me tell you something about myself. I know that a book is good, especially when it comes to being fast-paced or addictive. When I've got the option to watch Love on the Spectrum, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Love is Blind, I've been watching The Age of Attraction lately. If you want trashy reality, well, Love on the Spectrum is not trashy, but if you want reality TV show recommendations, the rest of them are trashy. I didn't want to watch TV. I would have rather read my book than brain rot, and I love to brain rot, okay? So it's a new level of good for me if I'm choosing to pick this up, read it in one sitting, and not watch brain rot TV. I also was on a plane for a portion of reading this, and I will be honest, if the book is not hitting, if it's slow, if I am not feeling it, I will shut the book and sit on the plane and stare at the map. I won't read it just because I'm forced to, sitting on a plane. I opened this when the plane took off, did not want to get off when we landed, and we flew all the way to LA, so it was 5 hours, and I did not want to stop reading it when we landed. That is the endorsement that I'll give you for this book. But this is dark academia. It's a magical academy. We've got a demon hunter, FMC, and a demon potential love interest, a man in here who is a demon. We have lots of mystery, really good, well done, not guessable mystery. I felt like I wasn't guessing all of the plot twists in here, and I will sniff out a plot twist from a mile away, okay? You might be able to guess parts of it, but I don't think you'll be able to solve the mystery on your own without the help from the author. Side characters that are very connective, very important. I love the side characters. They don't feel like they're just there. Everything about this was a yes. So if you haven't read Half City yet, this is the Allurial version. I really love when I get a special edition that's really pretty and then the plot matches how pretty the book is, which was the case for this one. I actually have 2 special editions of this now. So absolutely would 100% recommend. I rated this a 4.5 because I'm worried that the series is going to be so good that if I rate this 5 stars, I don't have anything else to rate the other books. So now, speaking of something that just came out, and I'm already going to tell you it needs to be on your required Romantasy reading list. Starside by Alex Aster, number 1, is beautiful. I listened to this one on audiobook because it's got Anthony Palmini in it, who's the voice of Rhysand and Kingfisher, and it's duet narration. The audiobook for this is immaculate. It's amazing. Would 100% recommend. Also, insert, do we want an ultimate, my favorite audiobook recommendation list? Sorry, I'm asking as I think of ideas. I'll never remember, but if you comment that you want it, I'll do it. This one throws you in the action from there is not a slow moment in this book. I was kind of when I picked up Never Keep by the Twisted Sisters. There's never a moment where you feel like it's proper to put the book down or stop listening to it. Something is happening all the time, which I personally like, but I feel like sometimes it's so much action that you get tired. I got a little tired reading this, but I feel like ultimately that's a good thing. And this, listen, if you liked Light Lark, you're probably gonna like this. This is way more action-packed than Light Lark, though. If you didn't like Light Lark is a hot topic, controversial book. Sometimes because it's young adult and people get mad that it doesn't have spice in it. It's a young adult book. This is an adult book, so this will be spicy, but if you liked Grimm from Light Lark, Grimm, even if you didn't love Light Lark, or even if you were, I don't know, Grimm is sort of an ultimately like agreed upon top tier Shadow Daddy book boyfriend. Like you can't not like Grimm. Yeah. So this has, I wish I had the character art with me. I don't know where it is right now, but there's some beautiful character art. This man, you will be obsessed with him. You will be obsessed with him. I loved him. The world in here is very interesting. I feel like Alex Aster writes very deep, immersive, like complicated worlds. I don't know if that sounds negative or not, but I know that like the Light Lark saga has so much going on. Like the world, she's just like, I don't know what happens in her brain, but she's got a lot going on in there, and I'm very impressed. I will say the only thing about this book is sometimes I was like, what is going on? There's so much going on in here, but this is the beginning of a series, so I do expect a lot of that to be answered later on, but I really, really ate this up. Is everybody gonna like it? I don't know. It's brand new. I haven't heard anybody talk about it yet, so I actually don't have a pulse check on this one when it comes to book talk. I know that I had a great time. I thought the audiobook was a masterpiece, so if you're an audiobook girly, this is an easy decision. Listen to it or do immersive reading. I do think because of the world building, because of how much is going on, how much action there is. Like if you stop listening for a second, you miss what's going on. So I would recommend immersive reading in this, which is where you read the letters on the page while you listen to the audiobook. I feel like that will be the best experience for how much is happening in here. But this, brand new. You heard it here first. This needs to be on the Romantasy reading list for Romantasy lovers. I had a great time reading Starside. The end of it was crazy, and that's all I'm going to tell you. All right, now let's talk about a book that is universally halfway split down the middle, loved and hated, which I think is why it should be required reading. You should make your own, you should read it and see how you feel about it. We Who Will Die, fast-paced, fun, vibes, romantasy read. Okay, now this is also the beginning of a series, so I do get really mad when people come in and say, there were so many plot holes, like, this feels very unfinished. Do you hear how it sounds when you say the first book in a series feels unfinished? Do we feel good about leaving that statement? That's what we want to say? That's what you want to say in your review? It's the first book in a series! What do you think is going to happen? I mean, if I read the first book, again, all of y'all read ACOTAR. You know how many questions I had at the end of ACOTAR? What happened? Why did Rhys back away slowly and fly away? What was going on? Like, why was she having watery bowels? So many questions at the end of ACOTAR. It's normal to have questions at the end of the first book in a series. Now, if this was a standalone, valid. You should be feeling complete at the end of a standalone. And people are also arguing that this is not a love triangle. Guys, I'm so sorry, but you are you need a little bit of, you need to read more books if it's not abundantly clear that this is a love triangle. This is giving, the author also said that she was inspired by Damon and Stefan Salvatore. So this is giving the Vampire Diaries. There are 2 vampire brothers in here. There is definitely one giving Stefan and Damon Salvatore. But we also have gladiator style games and trials. We've got like a military college setting. So if you liked, Fourth Wing, if that's your vibe, if you like the games and trials that were the fighting style trials that were in Throne of Glass, that's going to give you that element. And then this is just fun, fast paced. This is a romantasy. Romantasy shares tropes within itself. So yes, there's a love triangle. Yes, there's a broody brother and a nicer brother. Although the nicer brother, like truly, I really like that. I don't know who she's going to choose. And I do be loving a bad boy, but I like the other guy too. And I feel like it's very rare that you see a love triangle where there's not like an obvious winner. There kind of isn't. And I feel like we're going to get deep in book 2. I feel like stuff's going to pop off. Again, your critique is invalid if you say that you got to the end of a book and it felt unfinished and it's quite literally the first book in a series. I cannot take you seriously if that's what you're saying. Like, listen, plot holes have a different meaning to everybody. Like, if you thought this had plot holes in it, whatever. But if there are questions that you didn't have answered and that's the reason you don't like this book, there's something wrong. I don't know what to tell you. You need to read more series. I'm a person who loves, like, big, long, immersive series. I don't like to know everything up front, so that's also just a matter of preference. It's fine for you to not like it, but to say that is like something that's wrong with the book, that it feels unfinished, absolutely incorrect. And then there's just a lot of people who don't like this book. It's also fine to not like this book. I don't mean that this book is so good that it's above criticism. It's just a really fun time. I would say that this one's a vibes read, and every now and then you do need a vibes read. I do predict that the whole series overall will not be a vibes read. I do think it's going to get a lot more complex. I think the relationships are going to get deeper, and I think, you know, as a series does, it's going to feel more substantial as there are more books. So I think even if you didn't love it, probably still try book 2. Listen, don't waste your time. I'm not telling you need to read a book that you don't like, but this is a series. This is a series, and I had an excellent time with it. I love a CW show. I love a brothers love triangle. I love vampires. I love games and trials. So obviously, I loved this book, and I think you should read it. Now, let's talk about a book that everybody said was so shocked that I liked and gave a good rating to that they said that I was just talking about it because I was paid to talk about it. No. On Wings of Blood by Briar Boleyn, we're going to talk about this one. This was a big book in the romantasy space. This is another book that I would say is a little bit more of a vibes read. So if you're a deep, dark, like Throne of Glass girly, this might not be as substantial to you. This is a little bit more for the Fourth Wing girlies, for the ACOTAR girlies. And this one does get, again, more substantial as the series goes on. It is a series, but this one's a little bit more fun. It's got, like, banter. It's got comical writing. If you like Zodiac Academy, this might speak more to you. This is for the Zodiac Academy girlies. It's kind of a perfect mixture between Zodiac Academy, Fourth Wing, a little bit of From Blood and Ash, but like not quite as serious and repetitive as From Blood and Ash. And this has quite some crazy plot twists in it. Somebody called this Timu Zodiac Academy. I think, like, yes, I compare this to Zodiac Academy a lot. It's not Timu just because it's a shorter series. This is going to be a completed 4-book series this year. The last book comes out. Zodiac Academy is just like, it goes on forever. This is shorter. This is more compact. You're not going to feel as overwhelmed. It's not going to take you as long to read it. I don't really think that discounts it, but it doesn't really have that many similarities to, like, the plot of Zodiac Academy, but it's going to give you the fun Magical Academy, rivals. The other thing that I really disagree with people calling this is a bully romance, because this is 1000% not a bully romance, okay? There are bullies in this book, but they're like other women. They're like other classmates. They're not people who would be involved in the romance. I'm just going to tell you, by definition, for something to be a bully romance, the bullying has to be with a love interest, and that is not the case in this. So y'all quit lying about this book and saying that it's a bully romance. Number one, go read Zodiac Academy if you want to read a bully romance, or anything, a lot of other things by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is not a bully romance. The book boyfriend is a little bit of a red flag. I would say that. I would say he's morally gray. I would say he's a red flag. He does some questionable things that will make you raise your eyebrows that I personally love. He's also kind of giving Draco Malfoy, and I know Draco Malfoy was a bully, but this guy is truly, like, not a bully. He's not. Ain't nowhere near on the level of Zodiac Academy. So this was a really, really good time. I think everybody should try it. This one's a little bit divided. People either love it or they hate it. So don't come back and tell me you're never going to trust me again when I put so many other good books on here that you will be missing out on if you just don't like one or two of them. So I liked this. Dragon Riders, Vampires, Magical Academy. Great time. Now, let's talk about a book that is part of a magical academy that has tarot card magic, and it has a little bit denser, more well done when it comes to the plot. A Vow and Vengeance. This was so good. This was so good. Now, the pacing will keep you interesting. You've got a slow burn. You've got banter. There's some pretty good banter in here. The book boyfriend, I'm so obsessed with Draven. It's not even funny. Like, I love him. Number one, he's got long hair, he's got wings, and he's got horns. He's a druid. Say less. That is for me. And the author did give us a little hint that she might use his horns for certain down below activities later on. This is a slow burn that feels appropriate. It's a slow burn that like gives you just enough, but then you like remain feral throughout the whole book. But this also has really good plot and like world building and like other things going on. Like, yes, this is a spicy romantasy. This does have like a pretty prominent romance in it, but the plot was really good. The story was really good. It has a little bit of emotional damage in it. Like this just, I feel like it did those elements well. It felt like more than just a romance, which I don't know if this is becoming clear while you're watching this video, but that's always going to be more important to me, is that the story is just as good as or better than the romance in the book. I need it to feel meaningful. This has really good plot. This also has elves, it has druids, it has celestials, and it has fae. So it's kind of got a lot of things. And if you are, you know, coming from being a childhood fantasy reader, where are all the elves? I miss the elves. Where are the druids? So this sort of calls back to like, you know, the classical Lord of the Rings, like fantasy, like species, races that we don't see as much in new age romantasy books. It's a lot of like fae and vampires, werewolves, dragons. This kind of brought me back. You know, I was like, where did the elves and druids go? I'm about that. And I do think the author is going to expand on those species when we get further into the series. Again, this is the first book in a series. Lots of things were unfinished. Those are not plot holes. So A Vow and Vengeance was, I think, the second book I read, 2026. And it really just, you know, a lot of the books that I read in January set the bar really high. Romantasy has been really good this year. So there's a lot of books that are from this year alone that are going to be really good ones to add to your, you know, general Romantasy TBR. But this one, absolutely great time. And Draven, for sure, will make it on my top 10 book boyfriends of 2026. 100% this man will be on there. Now, I gotta put a gothic romantasy on here. Gothic is a little bit of a different subgenre. So romantasy can be gothic romantasy, but I do feel like, you know, romantasy required reading has a very specific vibe. So I'm going to give you a couple of dark ones at the end of this video. Let me know if you want an ultimate list of my favorite gothic fantasy, gothic romance, because I can give you that. But this, I'm putting this on here because if you like classics like Zodiac Academy, if that was your vibe, this is definitely going to speak to you. Blood and Betrayals is a masterpiece. Blood and Betrayals now has a lot of character development, a lot of found family, a lot of not necessarily world building. This is very like a character driven story. There's a lot of character development in here. So some people who don't like this book, they would say that it's boring because it focuses a lot on the characters. But listen, if you don't like that, I get it. That's fine. It's a very specific type of read, but this is a gothic fantasy. It's dark academia. It takes place at a magical school. We've got a bestie in here who was based off of Alice Cullen, so I love her. Our FMC is kind of a badass. I feel like she's got a lot of growing to do throughout the series, but I really liked her. And this, you guys, now listen, take this with a grain of salt. Listen carefully. We've got a book boyfriend in here who's giving, or a potential book boyfriend, who's giving Leon Knight from Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. We've got another guy in here who's giving Ryder Draconis from Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. We've got another one in here who's giving Professor Orion from Zodiac Academy. And then we've got another one who is giving Zaid Meadows. He literally stalks her, and she doesn't, at the end of this book, she has no idea what he looks like. He appears to her. He's got like a spell, like a glamour cast over him, so he appears to her as sort of this blurry shape that she doesn't know what he looks like. We don't know who he is. It's a big mystery. And I think the authors have hinted at the fact that this is not going to be a why choose. So I feel like sometimes that's a cop-out. I'm like, who's she going to go with? There's major emotional damage at the end of this book, okay? And the authors have also hinted that, like, that wasn't a jump scare. That was for real. So these people are not playing around. But I don't think this is going to be a why choose or a reverse harem. I'm not sure. But there are a lot of potential very likable hot guys, hot shifters in this book. And I have absolutely no idea where we're going, which is my favorite thing. So again, plot holes, plot twists, whatever. Beginning of a series. The next book comes out, I think, in September of this year. So we're getting a lot of really highly anticipated sequels. Let me know if you want a video on that. But this one was one of my favorite reads of 2025. And you have to enjoy character development to really enjoy this. Like, a lot of people really loved it, but I did have some complaints of like, it was too long, there was too much. And I'm like, well, the length of the book and the amount of stuff that the characters go through is very, very important to make the ending of this book impactful. Like, you're meant to feel like you know these characters. You're meant to feel like you're part of the family. You're meant to feel like you've been with them for months, which is what you feel like when you finish this book. And that is what makes the emotional damage at the end of this book so crazy. If it was surface level and it was like a 300-page book, I think the end of this book would be very cheap and I don't think it would mean anything. So I feel like it was well done. I think it was the perfect length. I enjoyed every second of it. I was never bored. And yeah, this should definitely be on your required reading list. All right, so those are the books that I would put like first choice on my Romantasy reading list. There are definitely different ways that I could break that down. We could break it down and I could give you a dark fantasy romance recommendation list. I feel like dark fantasy romance is separate, so we sort of broached it a little bit with the gothic one at the end of Blood and Betrayals, but I feel like we could break it down into the required reading list of dark fantasy romance, which is usually a little spicier, a little darker. Usually there's darker elements in the world, in the plot. Sometimes there's iffy circumstances when it comes to some of the spicy elements, or there's, you know, a little bit of, not necessarily with the love interest, but a lot of times there's certain types of abuse that happen in more like dark fantasy romance. And then we have gothic fantasy, gothic romance, and I do feel like those could go together. They might overlap. But for example, a dark fantasy romance series would be the Legacy series by Melissa K. Roach. It would be the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. Those are a little darker. And then there are levels that do get darker than that. So I am still working ultimately on your ultimate list of, you know, a guide to dark fantasy romance. If you started reading Romantasy and you want something darker, I do have information on that. But how interested are we on that? Because that is going to take me a long time. I like to yap, but that's going to take a long time. And I want to give you stuff that you want to hear. So we have that, dark fantasy romance master list, gothic fantasy romance, and then I think that's pretty much it. So this is what I think is required reading for Romantasy. If you like all of the popular ones, those are the other popular and then slightly less popular books that I would recommend. I would also love to tell you all of my favorite underhyped ones that I think should be like my favorite indie master list. However, the indie books keep getting picked up by trad publishers. So if I recommend them and they're not indie anymore, they were indie when I read them, and that's just how I know them. So that's it. That's all I have. Let me know what other master lists you would like. Do we like the new hair? We went a little crazy. I was gonna dye it teal, but then I decided to go orange into like burgundy. So this is the hair we have now. I'm feeling very uncomfortable with it because she did like a blowout, which makes it more smooth than it normally is. And I'm used to having a big like voluminous wave of hair, and this one it feels wrong to me when it's like too smooth and too perfect. I feel like that looks wrong for me. I'm meant to be a little chaotic. So let me know what you think. If you disagree, do you think there are books that should be on this list that were not? Are there any books that you think should not be on this list that nobody should read? Listen, we welcome discussion here. I have plenty of friends who hate books that I like and plenty of friends that recommend books that I have not liked. So we can all be friends in the comments. You can tell me whatever you think. Don't be a booty hole about it. But I welcome discussion. You know, I just don't like I don't like somebody who's rude or who comes in hot saying like, I think some people like to come in and say like, did we read the same book? Don't be saying shit like that. That's annoying. But yeah, I hope you liked this list. I hope you added a lot of books to your TBR. Let me know how many. And that's it. That's all I have. I'll be back with another book rec list for you probably next week, unless I do something crazy. But goodbye. Oh my god. Oh, fuck. Now I don't know what order to talk about these in. Jesus. God. I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say, but I'm gonna get a big stack of books, so. Oh.